A major leadership transition is underway in Iran, a moment that will echo far beyond its borders. The world is watching, holding its breath. But beyond the headlines and political posturing, what does this seismic shift actually mean for the global economy, for energy prices, for international sanctions, and ultimately, for your own financial well-being? This isn't just about geopolitics, it's about the intricate web of economic mechanisms that connect Tehran to your wallet. In this video, we will cut through the noise and provide an objective, in-depth analysis of what this leadership change could mean for the world. We'll examine the economic levers of power, the potential ripple effects across markets, and the future scenarios that could unfold. To understand the future, we must first understand the structure of power in Iran. The supreme leader isn't just a figurehead. This position holds ultimate constitutional authority over every critical aspect of the state, including foreign policy, the military, and crucially, major economic decisions. This centralized power structure was established after the 1979 revolution, designed to ensure the continuity of the state's core ideology. So, while the president and parliament handle day-to-day governance, the supreme leader sets the grand strategic direction. This means that even with a new leader, the fundamental policies of the nation might not change overnight. There is a strong force for continuity. However, any new leader brings their own perspective, their own priorities, and their own network of allies. This introduces a significant element of uncertainty. Will the new leadership maintain the status quo, or will they steer the country in a new, perhaps more confrontational or more conciliatory direction? The answer to that question will have profound economic consequences. One of the most powerful tools shaping Iran's economy is the extensive network of international sanctions. This isn't a new phenomenon. For decades, sanctions from the United Nations, and more stringently from the United States and the European Union, have been a constant reality. The U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, wields immense power, effectively cutting off sanctioned entities from the U.S. dollar-based global financial system. A key moment was the disconnection of Iranian banks from the SWIFT messaging network, which is the backbone of international financial transactions. This made it incredibly difficult for Iran to get paid for its exports or to pay for its imports. Sanctions have also severely limited Iran's ability to export its most valuable commodity, oil. Foreign investment has all but dried up in key sectors. Internally, the effects have been devastating. The economy has been plagued by hyperinflation, which erodes savings and purchasing power. The national currency, the rial, has been in a state of near-constant instability, making long-term financial planning impossible for ordinary citizens and businesses. Unemployment has remained stubbornly high. In response, Iran has developed what it calls a resistance economy, a strategy focused on domestic production, self-sufficiency, and finding ways to circumvent sanctions through non-traditional trade partners and methods. This economic reality is the backdrop against which any new leadership will have to operate. Now let's talk about energy. Iran is a giant in the global energy market, holding some of the world's largest proven reserves of both oil and natural gas. Its geographical location gives it control over the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway through which nearly a third of all seaborne oil passes every day. The mere threat of disruption in this critical choke point is enough to send shockwaves through global markets. This is where market sentiment comes into play. Even without an actual drop in oil supply, the fear of a future disruption can cause traders to bid up the price of oil futures. You'll see this reflected in the prices of major benchmarks like Brent crude and West Texas Intermediate. A more aggressive posture from a new Iranian leadership could instantly add a risk premium to every barrel of oil. Furthermore, Iran is a founding member of OPEC. While its production has been constrained by sanctions, its voice within the OPEC Plus alliance, which includes Russia, is still significant. A change in Iran's willingness to cooperate with production quotas or its diplomatic stance toward other members, like Saudi Arabia, could unravel the delicate agreements that maintain stability in global oil supply. Any sign of instability sends prices soaring, and the effects are felt globally. The ripple effects extend far beyond the oil market, impacting global trade, credit, and investment. During times of heightened geopolitical uncertainty, we often witness a flight to safety. This is a classic market phenomenon where investors pull their capital out of what they perceive as risky assets, like stocks and emerging markets, and pour it into safe haven assets. These typically include U.S. Treasury bonds, considered the safest financial instrument in the world, gold, and stable currencies like the Swiss franc. For emerging markets, this can be catastrophic, leading to sudden currency devaluations and financial instability. The cost of doing business also rises. Insurance premiums for shipping vessels transiting near conflict zones, like the Persian Gulf, can skyrocket. This increases the cost of everything that is transported by sea. Moreover, this kind of uncertainty has a chilling effect on long-term investment. Corporations become hesitant to commit billions of dollars to new factories, supply chains, or infrastructure projects if the geopolitical landscape is unstable. Why build a new facility in a region that could be embroiled in conflict tomorrow? This hesitation slows global economic growth and can lead to the rerouting of entire supply chains, a costly and complex process. So how does all of this sanctions, oil prices, and trade disruptions connect to your personal finances? The primary link is inflation. Let's trace the journey. First, an increase in geopolitical risk in the Middle East leads to higher oil prices. Since our entire global economy runs on energy, this immediately increases transportation costs. It costs more to fuel the container ships, cargo planes, and trucks that deliver goods to your local stores. This isn't just about gasoline for your car. It's about the cost embedded in every single product you buy. Second, higher energy costs mean higher production costs. Manufacturing is an energy-intensive process. Whether it's producing plastics, forging steel, or even running the data centers that power our digital lives, it all requires energy. When energy is more expensive, the cost of making goods goes up. Companies then pass these increased costs on to consumers in the form of higher prices. Suddenly, the food on your table, the electronics in your hands, and the clothes on your back all become more expensive. This is the direct, tangible link between a political decision in Tehran and the purchasing power of your money. Geopolitical risk is not an abstract concept. It is a direct driver of domestic inflation. This leadership change is also forcing a recalibration of alliances across the global chessboard. The United States will have to reassess its entire Iran strategy. Will it attempt to revive the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, or will it double down on a strategy of maximum pressure through sanctions? The new leadership's tone and actions will be critical in determining Washington's path. The European Union is caught in a difficult position. It has strong economic interests in normalizing trade with Iran, but also shares many of the security concerns of the United States. EU leaders will be trying to walk a tightrope, balancing diplomacy with security. Meanwhile, China and Russia have cultivated a strategic partnership with Iran, viewing it as a key counterweight to U.S. influence in the Middle East. They have provided Iran with an economic lifeline, buying its oil and investing in its infrastructure. How this partnership evolves will be a major factor in the new global power dynamic. And finally, regional powers like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel are watching with extreme vigilance. For them, this is not a distant problem. It is an existential security issue. They will be re-evaluating their own military postures and diplomatic channels, trying to gauge the intentions of the new leadership in Tehran. Given all these variables, we can outline three broad potential scenarios for the future. The first is the status quo scenario. In this case, the new leadership is essentially a new face for the old policies. After an initial period of market volatility, the world realizes that Iran's fundamental strategic direction remains unchanged. Sanctions remain in place, regional tensions continue to simmer, and the global economy adjusts to this baseline level of risk. The second possibility is the reformist path. Here, the new leadership decides that the cost of economic isolation is too high and makes a strategic pivot towards diplomatic re-engagement and economic liberalization. This could lead to a new round of nuclear negotiations, the gradual lifting of sanctions, and a surge in foreign trade and investment. For the global economy, this would be a significant positive shock, likely leading to lower oil prices and new market opportunities. The third and most concerning scenario is hardliner consolidation. In this future, the new leadership adopts an even more aggressive foreign policy, perhaps accelerating its nuclear program or increasing its support for proxy groups in the region. This would lead to a dramatic increase in regional tensions, a spike in the global risk premium, and potentially even direct military conflict, with severe consequences for the global economy. So, where does this leave us? We are standing at a critical juncture. The decisions made in Tehran in the coming months will set the course not just for Iran, but for the global economic and security landscape for years to come. We've explored the key mechanisms at play: the immense power of the supreme leader, the crippling effect of sanctions, the volatility of energy markets, and the direct line from geopolitical risk to the inflation you experience every day. In times of such profound uncertainty, it is more important than ever to rely on data-driven analysis rather than emotional reactions. The world is complex, and these events are interconnected in ways that are not always immediately obvious. The key is to stay informed, to understand the underlying forces at work, and to be prepared for a range of possible outcomes. Thank you for watching. If you found this analysis helpful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more in-depth content on the critical issues shaping our world. Stay informed and stay safe.